Make America Great Again, a simple slogan that defined an entire political era, not only in America, but around the world. It resonated not as a vague promise, but as a thunderous call to action, inspiring millions of Americans to believe they could reclaim their nation's leadership on the global stage. With the red cap bearing those iconic words, Donald Trump did more than launch a presidential campaign. He ignited a symbolic movement, one that stirred hope and sparked endless controversies. From his stunning victory in 2016 to the contentious defeat in 2020, and now to the comeback journey of 2024, Trump is not merely a politician. He is a figure the entire world cannot take its eyes off. But what forged a Donald Trump of this magnitude? How did a boy raised in a wealthy family in Queens, New York, become the leader of the most polarizing political movement in modern American history? From his early years in the fiercely ambitious world of real estate, to the glitzy spotlight of reality television, and finally to his unconventional plunge into politics, Trump's story is a remarkable journey, with every step marked by both accolades and criticism. Amid all the acclaim and uproar, the MAGA cap shines brightly as a beacon, a symbol of resilience and the belief that America can become stronger than ever before. To understand the man that is Donald Trump and his extraordinary political journey, we must begin where it all started: a wealthy family, an ambitious heart, and a relentless drive to reshape the course of American history. Donald John Trump, a name that elicits admiration, respect, or indignation, but never indifference. Before becoming a billionaire, a reality television star, and later, one of the most polarizing presidents in American history, Trump was just a boy with big dreams growing up in the Queens neighborhood of New York. Perhaps it was during these early years, in the affluent yet disciplined Trump household, that his bold, unyielding, and at times unpredictable personality began to take shape. Donald was born on June 14, 1946, into a family where success was a legacy. His father, Fred Trump, was not only a prominent real estate magnate, but also a man deeply ingrained with the philosophy of always being on top. It comes as no surprise that Donald was raised from a young age to be a winner. However, this wasn't the kind of upbringing filled with gentle encouragement or the pampering often found in upper-class families. Fred Trump, with the sharp gaze of a capitalist, believed his son needed something more. He wanted Donald to be strong, to shine, and to learn how to survive in a world where the weak are left behind. This was perhaps most evident in Donald's adolescence, where his stubbornness and occasional rebellious streak came to the forefront. After one particularly heated argument, his parents made a life-changing decision: to send him to the New York Military Academy, NYM. "If you can't control yourself, let discipline do it for you," his father declared. At just 13 years old, Donald left the familiar confines of his home in Queens and entered an environment where strict discipline was the rule of survival. NYM was unlike any school Donald had ever known. Here, he had to adapt to a regimented lifestyle where recklessness or laziness was met with swift punishment. Yet instead of being subdued, Donald thrived. He learned to confront challenges and even turn difficulties into opportunities to showcase his natural leadership abilities. During his years at NYM, he became captain of the baseball team and gained a reputation for being decisive and daring, qualities that would later define his political career. After graduating, Donald took another step into prestigious academia, enrolling at the University of Pennsylvania, where he studied economics at the Wharton School. Unlike many students who focused solely on their studies, Donald turned his attention to the world outside. While his peers remained immersed in textbooks, Donald began working in the family's real estate business. His education at Wharton, combined with the hands-on experience imparted by Fred Trump, transformed Donald into a bona fide player by the time he graduated. But if this were where his story ended, Donald Trump would merely be one of thousands of other billionaires around the globe. What set him apart was his relentless drive and boundless ambition. Those formative years, filled with pressure and rigor, molded him into someone who refused to accept failure, always pursued his goals, and never shied away from adversity. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Trump's youth was how he avoided falling into the comfort zone of inherited success. Rather than simply taking over his father's real estate empire, he chose to branch out into uncharted and risky territories, from developing luxury hotels to owning golf courses and organizing the Miss Universe pageant. This was not just the story of a businessman. It was the story of someone determined to create a powerful personal brand, not just Donald Trump, but a name synonymous with power and opulence. During those formative years, Donald Trump began to craft his own identity, not just as Fred Trump's son, but as an ambitious individual willing to break every rule to achieve success. When he entered politics in 2016, the slogan, "Make America Great Again," was a natural extension of that philosophy. Always dreaming big and acting boldly. When the name Donald Trump is mentioned, images of towering skyscrapers bearing his name, lavish casinos, and an extravagant lifestyle instantly come to mind. But behind this dazzling facade lies a journey marked by boldness and significant risks. Donald Trump was not just a wealthy heir. He transformed his father's legacy into a global empire known as Trump. More importantly, he turned himself into a brand, a symbol of power and luxury. After graduating from the Wharton School in 1968, Trump joined his father Fred Trump's real estate business. At the time, the company focused on developing middle-income housing in Queens and Brooklyn, serving the working class. However, Donald, with a vision that transcended these familiar limits, quickly realized that to make his mark, he needed a bigger stage, Manhattan, the glittering heart of the world. "If you don't get into Manhattan, you haven't made it in real estate," he once declared. That was when he began crafting his legacy. The turning point in Trump's career came in 1976 with the Commodore Hotel deal. This dilapidated building in the heart of Manhattan was abandoned and in decline. While other investors turned away, Trump saw potential. With sharp negotiation skills, he not only convinced New York City authorities to approve the renovation, but also secured a 40-year tax abatement deal. After its transformation, the Commodore Hotel, rebranded as the Grand Hyatt New York, became a symbol of the city's revival and a launching pad for Trump's rise in the real estate world. If the Commodore Hotel marked his initial breakthrough, then Trump Tower, completed in 1983, was the crown jewel that defined his career. This 58-story skyscraper on Fifth Avenue in the heart of Manhattan was not just a luxurious residence, but also a bustling commercial hub. With gold-plated elevators and apartments costing tens of millions of dollars, Trump Tower epitomized Trump's style: grandiose, opulent, and unapologetically ostentatious. He famously said, "If you're going to do something, do it big. Don't be afraid to let people see your success." The 1980s saw Trump's career soar to new heights. He expanded his empire into casinos and entertainment. In Atlantic City, he owned a series of casinos, including Trump Plaza and the Trump Taj Mahal, a property he proudly called the eighth wonder of the world. However, not all his ventures were smooth sailing. The 1990s marked a period of financial crisis for Trump, as his casinos and real estate projects faced mounting debt. At one point, his liabilities ballooned into billions, bringing him to the brink of bankruptcy. Rather than succumbing to defeat, Trump did what only someone with unyielding resilience would dare to do. He restructured his entire empire. He negotiated with banks to delay payments, sold off some assets, and focused on high-profit projects. In the years that followed, he not only revived the Trump Organization, but also solidified his image as a tycoon who never gave up. Trump once remarked, "If you're going to think big. If you fall, you'll fall from a much higher place than most." What truly set Trump apart wasn't just the buildings or projects he created. He wasn't merely a businessman, he was a cultural icon. With his confident, outspoken, and often controversial persona, Trump became a regular figure in television shows, magazines, and high-profile social events. He authored numerous books on business and success, most notably The Art of the Deal, which became one of the best-selling business strategy books of all time. However, Trump's biggest breakthrough in personal branding came from reality television. In 2004, he launched The Apprentice on NBC. With his now iconic catchphrase, "You're fired," Trump was not just the host, but the boss, admired by millions of viewers. The show earned him millions of dollars per season and elevated his name to new heights. Trump was no longer just a businessman, he was a pop culture phenomenon. Yet this fame did not come without criticism. Trump's flashy style and luxurious lifestyle made him a target for detractors who claimed he was all talk and no substance. But for Trump, criticism was never a concern. "I don't mind if people hate me. It's just another form of respect," he once said. Looking back at Donald Trump's business career, one thing becomes clear. He wasn't just a real estate developer. He built a personal brand. From buildings bearing his name to reality shows and even the Miss Universe pageant, everything associated with Trump exuded ambition and boldness. This personal brand laid the foundation for his entry into politics, a stage Trump would never miss an opportunity to dominate. In 2015, when Donald Trump stepped onto the stage to announce his candidacy for president, America faced a moment of surprise and upheaval. With the slogan, "Make America Great Again," MAGA, Trump did not merely propose a campaign platform, he ignited a cultural and political revolution. MAGA was not just four simple words. It was a rallying cry for disillusioned Americans to reclaim a golden era they believed had been stolen. With his blunt and sometimes shocking style, Trump quickly became the center of controversy, spearheading one of the boldest presidential campaigns in modern history. When Donald Trump announced his candidacy on June 16, 2015, few believed he stood a chance. Political analysts dismissed him as a fleeting media phenomenon, a flash-in-the-pan candidate among seasoned politicians like Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. But Trump, with his characteristic audacity, didn't need anyone to believe in him. He just needed attention. And attention was something he had always known how to command. From his earliest speeches, Trump crafted a campaign unlike any other. While his opponents carefully chose their words to avoid offending anyone, Trump dove headfirst into controversial topics. He declared that illegal immigration had turned the border into a disaster, promised to build a massive border wall, and insisted Mexico would pay for it. He railed against trade policies that he claimed stole American jobs, criticized globalization, and targeted agreements like NAFTA for harming the working class. Meanwhile, his rivals, shackled by traditional political norms, struggled to counter his explosive rhetoric. Within months, the slogan, "Make America Great Again," became more than a campaign promise. It turned into a cultural symbol. The Red MAGA hat began appearing everywhere, from packed rallies to sports arenas and street corners. For millions of Americans, MAGA represented hope for economic revival, the return of manufacturing jobs, border security, and a renewed sense of national pride. However, not everyone viewed MAGA with such optimism. The red hat quickly became a symbol of division. Some saw it as emblematic of extremist populism, even racism. Mainstream media did not hesitate to criticize the MAGA movement, making it the focal point of heated debates. One defining moment came in 2019 when a group of high school students wearing MAGA hats at the Lincoln Memorial were accused by the media of provoking a Native American activist. When the truth surfaced, Nick Sandmann, the student at the center of the controversy, became a symbol of media injustice. Yet this incident only strengthened the MAGA movement, with Trump supporters viewing it as proof of the unfair treatment they and their leader faced. Despite criticism and ridicule, Trump systematically defeated each of his Republican primary opponents. His straightforward, confrontational style and mastery of social media set him apart. While his rivals laid out complex policy details, Trump conveyed his vision in a few tweets. While they organized modest campaign events, Trump drew massive crowds to electrifying rallies where he energized his base with powerful slogans and promises to transform America. When Trump secured the Republican nomination in July 2016, many observers still deemed his victory improbable. His opponent, Hillary Clinton, was not only a former Secretary of State, but also had the backing of Hollywood, the media, and nearly the entire political establishment. Yet Trump, once again, proved himself unpredictable. On November 8, 2016, Trump achieved a stunning victory in the presidential election. Although he lost the popular vote, he secured 304 electoral votes by winning battleground states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. This result not only shocked Democrats, but also shook the foundations of the U.S. political system. For his supporters, Trump was their champion, an outsider willing to fight for the forgotten. For his critics, however, his victory signaled the rise of populism and unprecedented division. In his victory speech, Trump declared, "I will be president for all Americans." Yet from the outset, America's deep societal divide became the greatest challenge of his presidency. During his tenure, Trump implemented numerous policies to fulfill his MAGA promises. He launched a trade war with China and renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA to protect American workers. He advanced construction of the border wall with Mexico and enforced strict immigration policies to curb illegal entry. He withdrew from international climate agreements, arguing they placed an unfair economic burden on the U.S. However, these policies also intensified opposition. The media, Democrats, and various social groups continually criticized him, leading to 2 impeachments, one in 2019 over Ukraine and another in 2021 following the Capitol riot. 4 years after leaving the White House, Trump returned to the political arena with his 2024 campaign. Once again, MAGA served as his rallying cry. This time, Trump was not just running to reclaim the presidency. He aimed to solidify the enduring legacy of the MAGA movement, despite relentless criticism. For his supporters, Trump remained the only leader strong enough to restore America. For his detractors, his return was a reminder of the nation's deep divisions. The 2024 election was not merely a political contest, but the ultimate test of Trump's legacy and the MAGA movement. For Donald Trump, MAGA was never just a slogan, it was a declaration. Whether loved or hated, no one can deny that he reshaped American politics and captured the world's attention. The MAGA movement will forever be a symbol of an era where hope and conflict coexisted, creating an unforgettable chapter in history. When Donald Trump took office on January 20, 2017, the White House welcomed a president unlike any other, a billionaire businessman and reality TV star who had never held political or military office. With the resounding slogan, "Make America Great Again," he began his presidency with promises to rebuild America's economy, reform foreign policy, and put the nation's interests first. Trump vowed to prioritize the American people, restore national pride, and bring transformative change. However, like the man himself, his presidency quickly became one of the most tumultuous and controversial eras in modern history. From the outset, Trump pursued his campaign promises with characteristic decisiveness. One of his most significant achievements was the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the most comprehensive tax reform in decades. This legislation slashed corporate tax rates from 35% to 21%, easing financial burdens on businesses, spurring investment, and creating jobs. Before the COVID-19 pandemic struck, the U.S. unemployment rate had dropped to its lowest level in 50 years, with record-breaking employment among minorities and women. For Trump and his supporters, these statistics served as compelling evidence that he was fulfilling his pledge to restore America's greatness. Trump also left a lasting mark on the international stage. He renegotiated the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, transforming it into the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, with provisions more favorable to American workers and farmers. He didn't shy away from confronting China in a trade war, imposing hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs on Chinese imports to pressure Beijing into concessions. Simultaneously, he achieved historic breakthroughs in Middle East diplomacy through the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations. Additionally, Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, marking a bold step in the fraught relations between the two nations. However, Trump's presidency was not without its challenges and missteps. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic emerged as the greatest crisis of his tenure. Initially downplaying the severity of the virus, Trump claimed it would disappear like a miracle. As the situation worsened, his administration launched Operation Warp Speed, facilitating the development of COVID-19 vaccines in record time. While this was a significant accomplishment, Trump faced widespread criticism for the initial lack of preparedness and his prioritization of economic stability over public health. The pandemic not only tested his leadership but also exposed deep societal divides over how to respond to the crisis. Amid this tense atmosphere, Trump's presidency became a battleground for fierce political conflicts. He became the first president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. The first impeachment, in 2019, centered on allegations of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress over his pressure on Ukraine to investigate political rival Joe Biden. The second impeachment, in 2021, accused him of inciting violence following the January 6 Capitol riot. Although the Senate acquitted him in both cases, these impeachments deepened the divide between his supporters and detractors, solidifying his image as a polarizing figure. Perhaps nothing defined Trump's presidency more than the MAGA movement. The Red MAGA Hat became more than just political merchandise. It was the focal point of cultural conflict. For millions of Americans, MAGA represented a call to unity, national pride, and the defense of American interests. To critics, however, it symbolized populist extremism and racial division. The 2019 incident at the Lincoln Memorial, where MAGA-wearing high school students were falsely accused of provoking a Native American activist, exemplified the sensitivities surrounding the movement. The red hat was no longer just an accessory, it was a declaration of identity and belief. As Trump's term ended in January 2021, many assumed he would retreat from politics. Instead, Trump began preparing for a comeback. His 2024 campaign was not merely an effort to reclaim power. It was a statement that the MAGA movement was stronger than ever. Whether loved or loathed, Donald Trump had undeniably reshaped American politics. For him, the presidency was not just a chapter in his life. It was a testament that he had and still has the ability to dominate the political stage as a phenomenon that cannot be ignored. When Donald Trump announced his bid for re-election in 2024, a fresh wave of division and anticipation surged through American politics. His campaign was not merely about reclaiming the presidency. It was a declaration that the Make America Great Again MAGA movement was not a relic of the past, but a living, dominant force resonating with millions of Americans. After his loss to Joe Biden in 2020, Trump relentlessly claimed that the election had been rigged, presenting himself as the true representative of the forgotten working class. The events of January 6, 2021, when his supporters stormed the Capitol, became the apex of controversy and led to his second impeachment. True to his indomitable nature, Trump used these disputes as fuel for an even more audacious comeback. Trump's 2024 campaign began with a familiar yet strategically bold message: "We will make America strong again." His platform included pledges to rebuild the economy, confront China, and tighten border security. But beyond policy promises, he vowed to restore fairness to Americans he claimed had been neglected by the political elite. Trump's rallies, awash in the red of MAGA hats, were not mere policy platforms, but stages that stirred intense emotions in his supporters. To them, he was more than a presidential candidate. He was a symbol of defiance, a force for change, and a beacon of belief that America could reclaim its former glory. However, MAGA had transcended its initial identity as a slogan. For some, it symbolized pride and renewal. For others, it embodied a nightmare of populist extremism and even racial division. The sight of MAGA hat-wearing individuals became the focus of numerous debates, from minor schoolyard disputes to large-scale protests. Yet these criticisms only solidified the movement among its adherents. For them, every accusation was further proof of systemic injustice, with Trump positioned as the sole figure daring to challenge it. This election placed Trump not only against the Democratic Party, but also against challenges within his own Republican base. Figures like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, touted as a rising star, questioned Trump's dominance. However, with his unparalleled media savvy and ability to electrify crowds, Trump swiftly reasserted his control. His rallies continued to draw tens of thousands, while his rivals appeared as mere shadows. Once again, Trump demonstrated that he was not just a candidate, but a phenomenon, a force that could not be easily ignored. The 2024 race brought Trump head-to-head with President Joe Biden, who had defeated him in 2020. While Biden defended his administration's policies, Trump relentlessly criticized issues like inflation, the energy crisis, and immigration challenges. To Trump, this rematch was not just political. It was a personal mission to reclaim his honor and prove that the 2020 defeat was merely a historical anomaly. His speeches repeatedly emphasized that he alone could rescue America from what he termed the decline brought about by elite incompetence. Trump's 2024 campaign was far from a routine political endeavor. It was a referendum on the MAGA movement, a battle to define his legacy and America's future. Regardless of the outcome, one thing remained undeniable. Trump had transformed American politics in unprecedented ways. For him, this journey was not the end, but merely a new chapter, one that posed a compelling question to both his supporters and detractors. Could Donald Trump once again write history? Whatever the answer, his name will continue to be remembered as one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. Love him or hate him, no one can deny that Donald Trump has left an indelible mark on American political history. From a real estate mogul and reality TV star, Trump transcended every conventional boundary to become the 45th president of the United States, reshaping the political and social landscape in ways never seen before. His legacy is not just tied to bold policies and controversial statements, but to the Make America Great Again, MAGA, movement that defined an era of upheaval. Trump is not merely a figure. He is a symbol of a historical period marked by unwavering loyalty and intense opposition coexisting in a singular, polarizing dynamic. In the eyes of his supporters, Trump's legacy is defined by remarkable achievements. Under his leadership, the U.S. economy saw significant growth, with unemployment rates plummeting to historic lows, especially among minority communities and women. His trade policies, from renegotiating NAFTA into the USMCA, to initiating a trade war with China, were praised as tough measures to protect American workers. On the global stage, Trump made a lasting impact with his peace efforts in the Middle East, exemplified by the Abraham Accords and his unprecedented summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. To his supporters, Trump was the leader who restored America's standing as a global powerhouse, unafraid to challenge forces undermining national interests. Conversely, critics view Trump's legacy through a starkly different lens. They argue that his presidency marked an era of profound division in modern American history. The MAGA movement, embodied by the iconic Red Hat, became a rallying cry for supporters, but also the epicenter of debates surrounding populism, nationalism, and the spread of conspiracy theories. His hardline immigration policies, promises to build a border wall, and handling of the COVID-19 pandemic were flashpoints of widespread opposition. 2 impeachments during his presidency, a historic first, deepened the controversies, focusing on allegations of inciting violence and undermining democratic norms. Above all, Trump's legacy is shaped by his unorthodox leadership style. For Trump, politics was not about polished speeches or lengthy policy plans. He turned it into an emotional battle where shared beliefs and loyalty mattered more than traditional metrics. He weaponized social media, bypassing mainstream media, entities he often labeled the enemy of the people, to communicate directly with millions of supporters. This approach made him the face of a political revolution, giving voters the feeling that their voices were genuinely heard. Trump's legacy also raises profound questions about America's future. Can the MAGA movement endure without him? Can the deep divisions within American society be healed in the post-Trump era? While these questions remain unanswered, one thing is clear. Trump set a precedent that an outsider, armed with the ability to mobilize the masses and master media, can completely rewrite the political rulebook. He challenged elites, disrupted norms, and ignited a powerful movement that has proven difficult to extinguish. Now, as Trump embarks on his 2024 re-election campaign, his legacy remains unfinished. It is not merely a quest to regain power, but the ultimate test of the MAGA movement and the future of American politics. Regardless of the outcome, Donald Trump will forever be remembered as one of the most influential and contentious figures in history, a symbol of a turbulent era that captured the world's attention and refused to be ignored. The future of Donald Trump and the Make America Great Again movement looms large over American politics, not just in the 2024 presidential race, but for years to come. MAGA has transcended its origins. It's a slogan, becoming an identity and a political force that reshaped American society. This movement represents millions of Americans, from working-class voters in industrial states hurt by globalization to conservatives who feel their traditional values are being eroded. For them, Trump is not merely a political leader, but a symbol of resistance against the elite and a system they perceive as unjust. However, a critical question remains: can MAGA persist without Trump at its center? In the 2024 campaign, Trump faces challenges not only from political opponents, but also from within the Republican Party. Figures like Ron DeSantis and other moderate conservatives have emerged as potential alternatives, creating internal competition within the MAGA movement. Yet, Trump has proven himself to be the focal point of this movement. His rallies continue to draw tens of thousands of supporters, and his strong showing in polls reflects the enduring loyalty of his voter base. Trump has not only reaffirmed his leadership, but has also declared that MAGA is stronger than ever. In his speeches, he emphasizes that the 2024 election is not merely about reclaiming the presidency, but about saving America from what he describes as the decline brought about by incompetent leadership. However, the future of MAGA is not entirely dependent on the outcome of the 2024 election. Even if Trump does not win, the movement he sparked could continue to evolve in other forms. Other Republican leaders may inherit and adapt the MAGA message to fit the shifting dynamics of American society, but Trump's unique charisma and fervor remain irreplaceable. For some, MAGA will forever be intertwined with Trump, the man who created, led, and breathed life into it. For others, MAGA is more than Trump. It is a political and cultural manifesto with enduring significance, regardless of Trump's personal involvement in politics. The greatest challenge to MAGA and Trump may not come from political opposition, but from societal change. Younger generations, with more progressive views on globalization, social equality, and climate change, may reject the values MAGA stands for. This raises the question of whether MAGA can adapt to a new era, where political and cultural priorities are shifting, or if it will fade as Trump's most loyal supporters age out of the electorate. Regardless of its trajectory, MAGA has left an undeniable legacy. It has transformed how Americans think about politics, sparked deep debates about national identity, and ignited a movement against the conventional norms of the political system. For Trump, the 2024 race is not just another chapter in his controversial life. It is his final declaration that he remains an unstoppable force. Win or lose, his legacy and MAGA have etched themselves into American history as a period of division, renewal, and upheaval. The future may be uncertain, but one thing is clear: Trump and MAGA will remain topics of fascination, debate, and both admiration and criticism for decades to come. In American politics, no one but Trump could turn a movement into a symbol, and a symbol into an enduring legacy.